Hey, what it do, everybody? I'm back with another video. Today we're going to be looking at a Ben Shapiro video where he just gets real mad about Greta Thunberg and all that fun stuff. Let's get right into it.
Okay, meanwhile, President Trump is over in Davos, and he is not the celebrated voiceover in Davos. The celebrated voiceover in Davos is 17-year-old Greta Thunberg. I know, she's 17. I didn't know she was 17. I mean, the way the media portray her, it's like she's 14, but she's actually a 17-year-old. That does not mean she's an adult. It means she's a public figure, and she is due for any sort of criticism any other public figure would receive. I know. I was writing a syndicated column when I was 17, 18 years old. Wrote a lot of dumb stuff. Being 17 and 18 means that sometimes you say dumb stuff. So that's not on Greta Thunberg. It's on everybody who takes her seriously. And the fact that Greta Thunberg is propped up there as some sort of great intellectual force is truly astonishing because, again, her entire spiel is, I'm a child and I'm very angry. So that's her entire thing. She's a child and she's angry. And she says this, right? She's not hiding the ball. She's a child who's angry and she goes around yelling at adults. And the adults who wish to use that anger as a sort of club with which to beat people who disagree, they say, look at this child. Look at this child. This is an angry child. Why don't you listen to this angry child? My answer is, I generally don't listen to angry children. I have two of them. There's no reason for me to listen to angry children that I don't actually love.
So, what Greta Thunberg represents isn't necessarily in the individual idea of what to do about climate change. It's more a boiling over of rage of, let's say, our generation. And it's because for the longest time, the biggest issue for probably my generation and millennials, your generation, Ben, and the generation that will come after us, Generation A or whatever, the Alpha generation, this is our biggest problem, because this is the problem, this is the issue that will decide whether or not we have a future, whether or not we have a decent society to live in. And we want it to be taken seriously. And also, we want us to be taken seriously. So that is what Greta Thunberg represents. Actually doing something. Actually not only acknowledging the problem, but trying to actually get solutions to that problem so we don't have to deal with the worst repercussions of this situation.
I like my own kids. I don't know Greta Thunberg. Maybe she's wonderful. No clue. But I'm not sure why I would listen to her yell about global warming when she proposes solutions that are patently insane. And I say that advisedly. Her solutions to global warming are patently insane, and yet they are propped up by everybody in the media. She's a great heroine. We put her on the cover of magazines because her entire agenda is to go around and scream at adults about how terrible the adults are because they're not doing what she wants them to do. So this sort of raises the question, what exactly does she want them to do?
Literally anything. Well, more than anything, but enough to actually make a difference. To have the most serious issue be taken somewhat seriously. And it's really not, especially in America, when one of the two major parties in this country doesn't even acknowledge that climate change is a problem.
Right, because after all, if she is screaming that the adults aren't doing it, it would be good to know what exactly she wants them to do. So here's what Greta Thunberg wants the adults to do. And this has been, again, the adults, Al Gore shows up and he's like, I'm here, the earth has a fever. And Greta Thunberg is the only thing that can cure this fever, the Al Gore fever. So he was there praising her. She's so important. It's deeply important. So Greta Thunberg, 17-year-old global warming wunderkind, apparently. Here was her solution to the problem of global warming. And it is crazy, guys.
We don't need a low carbon economy. We don't need to lower emissions. Our emissions have to stop if we are to have a chance to stay below the 1.5 degree target. And until we have the technologies that at scale can put our emissions to minus, then we must forget about net zero. We need real zero.
Not net zero. So net zero means that we sort of don't produce any additional emissions beyond the rates at which we are currently producing. Real zero? So real zero means that you actually shut down the entire economy of the world. And unless you think that I'm exaggerating what exactly she's calling for, here's Greta Thunberg, what she actually said at Davos, and she was praised by the media for this. The real reason she's getting praised, of course, is because she yells at the adults. And what the left loves to do is prop up children who yell at adults. And that way, if you attack what the children are saying, if you say, listen, seems like a nice enough young woman, like I'm not arguing with her passion, that's fine. She has an agenda, that's fine too. I'm arguing with her agenda. That way, the left.
So, first of all, the left is not the only one that uses children as like token characters or whatnot. Not saying that Greta Thunberg or whatever is necessarily a token child character, because as someone who is part of her generation, I think that we should be taken seriously. We are the first generation in the age of internet to grow up completely utilizing the internet. Yeah, we should probably be taken seriously. Look, I'm still young. I'm still learning things. I've had bad takes before. An example is there are anarcho-capitalist societies or economies out there. There's not. But the right also uses token children characters or whatever. The Covington kid was a great example. The kid with the MAGA hat with the Native American, like, he was on Fox News so many times to prove or push a narrative. Yeah, it's optics. This isn't anything new, Ben. but you like to vilify the other side for using something that apparently your side would never dare stoop to that level. Also, yeah, we're going to need to get to net zero. No, I'm sorry, not just net zero, but zero in general very soon if we actually want to have a chance in dealing with this massive problem. Because, yeah, he talks about the economy. We run on oil, we run on fossil fuels. Sure, that's true, but our economy is going to go kaput regardless. If we don't do anything, we're not going to really have a chance to transition. We're not going to have a choice. It's going to happen regardless. When the oceans rise and the shorelines disappear and the people migrate, we're kind of screwed. But I don't know.
Left can say, you're attacking a child, don't you see? You're attacking it. They do the same thing with regard to gun control. They love trotting out children so that they can say, you are attacking this poor victimized child. And it's like, well, no, I think that the argument's bad. I'm not attacking the kid. But the reason that the left props her up is that she says crazy things, but then she also says that she's mad at the adults. Why won't you listen to the children? The children are the wisest among us. Here's Greta Thunberg ripping on the adults. And this is what, of course, has made her a media phenomenon.
I've been warned that telling people to panic about the climate crisis is a very dangerous thing to do. But don't worry, it's fine. Trust me, I've done this before, and I can assure you it doesn't lead to anything. And for the record, when we children tell you to panic, we're not telling you to go on like before. We're not telling you to rely on technologies that don't even exist today at scale, and that science says perhaps never will.
All she was saying there is, please, if not for your sake, for our sake, your children, take this issue seriously. That's all she was saying.
We're telling you to panic. We're telling you to panic. I'm telling you to panic. I said I wanted you to panic. She said this 1 year ago. I came to Davos and told you our house is on fire. I said I wanted you to panic. Now, normally when anybody tells you to panic, that's a bad idea. When a child tells you to panic, you're like, no, you're a child. I'm not going to panic over the possible increase in global temperature of, at maximum, 4 degrees Celsius, according to the IPCC, over the course of the next century.
What a disingenuous little cunt. Oh my gosh. Only 4 degrees Celsius. First of all, we're in America. We use Fahrenheit. I don't know what 4 degrees Celsius converted to Fahrenheit is, but it's more than 4 degrees Celsius because that's how conversions work. But she was saying if we want to meet the goal of getting below 1.5 temperature increase, he's saying it's only going to raise by 4 degrees Celsius. Like, that's small. Like, that's not enough to erase not only the coastlines, but the entire society that we've built, the entire economy, everything that humanity has done up to this point. He's just downplaying that. And he's acknowledging that that is the repercussions of not doing much at all. God, what a...
In fact, what we should be attempting is mitigation. Right? What we should be attempting is adaptation. This is not to say that we can't take measures that would lower carbon emissions. In fact, the United States, fracking for natural gas has lowered our carbon emissions dramatically. Nuclear power lowers emissions dramatically. But
so I'm all in favor of nuclear power, but when it comes to fracking, yeah, sure, fracking doesn't necessarily put as much carbon in the atmosphere. I guess I'll take your word for it, Ben. But I do know it destroys the groundwater, and it also causes earthquakes. Like daily earthquakes in states that have a lot of fracking. Fracking's not a good alternative. Neither is clean coal. What's a good alternative? Getting off this, transitioning our economy, doing what we've done before in humanity. This is not something new. This is just a different problem that we have kind of faced before. When capitalism, and Ben, I know you love capitalism. When capitalism first came around, I'm sure there were dipshits like you going around saying, well, we can't change. We're going to destroy our entire economy, our feudal system. Ben, we need to change. We need to adapt. And your argument is, we'll do it anyway. Really? Really, Ben? Can we please take this issue seriously?
her actual proposal, the one that's being praised, quote, we demand at this year's World Economic Forum, participants from all companies, banks, institutions, and governments immediately halt all investments in fossil fuel exploration and extraction, immediately end all fossil fuel subsidies, and immediately and completely divest from fossil fuels. Every company is supposed to stop using fossil fuels. Every government is supposed to stop using fossil fuels. Every institution is supposed to stop using fossil fuels. She says we don't want these things done by 2050, 2030, even 2021. We want this done now. It may seem like we're asking for a lot, and you will of course say that we are naive, but this is just the very minimum amount of effort that is needed to start the rapid, sustainable transition. Well, since you are talking about the end of civilization as it currently exists, Yeah, that seems like a lot. I'm just going to put it out there that seems like a lot, and it does not seem justified by the available evidence. It is always easier to get people to rally around a problem than it is to get them to rally around a solution. When it comes to big problems, you should actually be providing real solutions, not nonsense, and then trotting out children to claim that if you don't embrace solutions that literally no one is willing to embrace, right? Al Gore would not implement that. He would not. If you were president of the United States, he would not. The Paris Accords were not this. There's not an adult on the planet who sees this proposal as anything other than patently insane, and yet they're all out there like Greta Thunberg, hero of the Republic. It's so irritating and so silly.
So I'm gonna end it on this. Yeah, that does sound silly. That does sound impossible. Because realistically it is. It's not gonna happen. Things aren't gonna change, and I think one of the big reasons is that the adults don't have a stake in this. They don't. If you're over 40, 50, you're really not gonna live through the awful, terrible effects of climate change. I will. My children will. The people that come after me will. But you won't. And the problem is that those people who don't have a stake in that, those are the people who have all the power right now. This is a very serious issue, and it disgusts me to see Ben Shapiro not take this major issue seriously, to be so dismissive and disingenuous on an issue that is going to potentially destroy our economy, destroy our society. And he said, well, Greta Thunberg wants to destroy our society, destroy our way of living. No, she wants to transition. She wants to change so we can preserve society, preserve civilization, and adapt and move on. You talk about adapting. That's what we need to do. This is adapting. Waiting until we need to adapt, till we're forced to adapt, till we have no other choice, well, then it might be too late. This wasn't a very funny video. This wasn't something, look, I don't know. This is a issue that is pretty big. Something that, I'm not going to say gives me anxiety, but something that kind of makes me very nihilistic. Makes me say, what's the point? If we're not going to do this, if I can't ensure that I have a future, what's the point? I love Greta Thunberg because she actually tries to get people to acknowledge the problem, not only do something about it, but just fucking acknowledge it. But anyway, till next time, everyone, stay breezy, always cheesy. Peace out.